Doctor.
Hey.
How we doing? Good.
Justin Fields signed up with Ohio State.
Not. There was a couple of questions about maybe a,
He mentioned adopting a box.
Yeah.
And I said you will be.
something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, it's just coming down, the first that you decide to free, they want you to pay that $19.99 for, you can get online and put in your settings and actually have it face to face online.
Yeah.
You finance
And the insurance company, oh, they're pushing it, yes, they're pushing it, because of the office, because the office visits and stuff.
With a real
I
dog.
was sitting
Yeah.
through back in the day.
In a way, I hate going to the doctor.
And other kids.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to get sick,
See,
people
because
that
you
have
want
all
that.
kinds of stuff. I
Uh,
don't know what the right answer is.
Yep.
We met today, Ken and I did with the, Robin Denson, and,
But it
she
was
said
something like that,
that,
is what it was called.
we were giving them, they may come back later and ask us
Yeah.
to.
They're starting to push it.
Have they started to work on
We didn't make the
Nope, I
deadline.
ain't saying do nothing, have they started any work? I was just like a wimpy house station.
Well,
Questionable. and-
nobody started working. Burger King been on the buzz for about the last 3 weeks.
Oh, I know, it was so hard.
They're going there working 5 minutes and it started
30
raining.
days, so.
You know, that guy owns two farms. He always wanted to go straight to the hospital. He owns one in Hospital Drive.
Because he owns the two pocket
Yeah.
shops, and that one, those pocket shops that we want to do.
Yeah.
Oh, you got
And
that?
that, in a way, that'd be good for the 8 to 10 because of the fact,
But a pocket shop offers a lot more than they do.
yeah,
Because it offers
walkers, all
lockers
kinds of.
and the stops, and
Yeah.
I mean, it offers a lot of other things besides just medicine. So that would be good.
So let's see.
Have to go to Walmart.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Okay, so this is in Douglasville several years ago. We had a city council, before I was city manager, but I was working as a consultant. And he wanted to be mayor pro tem very much. That was opening, and they figured, okay, this is back that opportunity. So they get to that, and Larry gets
I'm proud of you. Did you get Kristen to do it, or did you?
Did it?
See, I told you you
Got a
could.
second. Then somebody nominated somebody else, and they got a second. 7 council members now. So then they voted, all in favor of Larry, raise your hand. 3 hands went up. All in favor of the other fellow, raise your hand. 3 hands plus Larry's went up. None of us could believe it.
You voted against him, then?
Voted
Yeah.
against himself when he'd been wanting it for a while.
Oh, he wanted it.
Oh, yeah.
And then voted him.
Yeah, I don't know if he got confused or what. He was a weird one.
Well, I'm sorry I had to give you so much.
Really?
He didn't have anything else.
I was just to say, he was riding airplanes and stuff, he had plenty of time to read.
Whether you did or didn't,
Either he did or he didn't, keep going.
this, oh, no, I'm just going to let them down myself now.
Oh, hey, I got all the notes here. And, I think it's pretty, I hope it's gonna be pretty good. Because this is pretty much, we tweak them. We want to all the changes to it, and we want it back so that we can make sure. Yeah.
I know I got to change it.
Yeah, we got to tell you exactly what we decided. Just what we're gonna do is tell you exactly. And then when you get that incorporated in, send another, and then we can look at it. There's just, we get it, we.
Have you gonna tell me what we're talking about?
So so that he can, and then y'all will get to make sure I know. So you got a minute? 7 minutes, just flip it. You got it?
Ladies and gentlemen, this time I call to order the Temple City Council meeting of January 7, the new year 2019. If you will, stand with us for the invocation. Bow with us, please. To God, in Jesus' name, we thank you this day. Thank you for this community. Thank you for the opportunity to serve it. I pray you just direct this meeting. Give us wisdom, knowledge, and discernment to go about the business of this city. We pray for its citizens and their health. Those that are sick, we pray you to minister to them. Those that are grieved, we pray you give them comfort. And Lord, we just thank you for the privilege of being here in the United States of America and just experiencing the freedoms that we have. And we pray for all of our leaders in performing their duties to do what should be done to take care of this country. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. This time, I entertain a motion to approve the published agenda of this date city council meeting as presented.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, the same sign. Next, we have public comments. If you have public comments, please be acknowledged and give us your name and your address, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Anyone here present who'd like to address the council? All right, seeing none, hearing none. Then we'll move to the next thing on the agenda, which is the approval of minutes. First, the December 3, 2018 regular meeting. I hear a move to approve those minutes.
Changes some of those. Yes, I will offer a motion to approve a couple of changes.
The changes are highlighted.
If you picked up your book after we did the changes, yours are not highlighted.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think it's just, Mr. Long.
and the mayor, yes. So yours are correct.
This one is
Yours are
correct.
correct with the, yes.
So as we have them, they're being
They're-
presented,
yes.
they're going to be correct, right?
All right, we have a motion to approve the minutes as.
Second.
All right, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. Then we have the December 5 special call meeting.
Motion to approve those minutes?
I'll second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Minutes approved. That brings us to the next thing on our agenda, which is the appointment of the chair and other members of the city council committees. This will be very relatively brief. There are no changes submitted except for the fact we have an open spot on the Parks and Recreation and Senior Center Committee chaired by Mr. Richard Bracknell, and the other member will be determined by the special election in March. And also the Community Development Committee, which is the chairperson, is now being taken care of by Mr. Tom Wallace, the member. And when the special election occurs and that member is placed on the council, then we can give them that chairperson position. So that's my intents for the City of Temple Committee organization for 2019. All right, next is the election of a mayor pro tem for 2019. I would open the floor for the council to make, to recommend for that position, the mayor pro tem.
I will offer a nomination to have Mr. Bracknell to continue in that role.
All right, we have
I'll second.
a motion, a nomination and a second for Councilman Richard Bracknell to continue as the mayor pro tem. Any other nominations? No? No other nominations. We have a nomination and a second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. You gotta go do that, vote against yourself, right? Congratulations, Mr. Franklin.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to new business. Item number 1, appoint Charlene Thomas as the Temple representative on the West Georgia Regional Library Board for a term extending through June 30, 2021. I would entertain a motion for that.
I make a motion that we appoint her.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Congratulations, Ms. Thomas. Item number 2, report by Villa Rica City Council Member Leslie McPherson regarding certain revisions to the current animal control ordinance which the Carroll County government and the municipal governments in Carroll County may be considering in the coming weeks. We welcome Councilwoman Leslie McPherson.
Where do you want me? You can come sit here.
Said she probably managed this in about 5 to 7 minutes, so,
Yeah.
welcome you.
I have a couple of notes.
Floor
Well,
is yours.
thank you, Mr. Osborne, Mayor Johnson, and Councilman for allowing me this time to come. Howard knows a little bit about what we speak because it was February that this first got brought to my attention and then to the county's attention. The reason I'm here is because we're looking at some proposals for changing, making some changes to the animal control ordinance, specifically to domesticated animals, and in most cases, this would relate to dogs and that sort of thing. A little bit of history, it's when I was walking around my ward last year, if you'll remember, we had record cold temperatures, single digits, 13 inches of snow in December and everything else. And unlike farm dogs that can kind of look for cover, cats will even try to protect themselves, right, and crawl up in the engines of vehicles. You know, they know a little bit about self-preservation, trying to protect themselves. A fenced or tethered dog, often cases, has no option except to go as far as they can go for whatever cover they have. And we do have some protections in our animal ordinance, but there's a number of us that believe it needs to be clear. There is nothing about temperatures whatsoever. Just like we wouldn't leave a dog in a hot car, whether it's extreme heat with a doghouse where they're stuck in the sun and cannot get out of 90 to 100, or we're in those single digits with a wooden doghouse. Ours does require 3 sides, some sort of roof, sitting directly on the ground with single digits. You know, it might work out okay for a husky, but an older dog, some of these, a dog we rescued last year, would be a little different. So that's kind of the history. I saw this, I was concerned about my own, and as soon as I made a public statement at all about it, the emails, the texts, the social media, people started contacting me about, well, have you seen this? Well, have you seen that? Or I have this problem by me. And so it's not something that I tried to make up on my own. I do not have a pampered dog per se. I've never had a dog that went to the spa or got groomed or anything else. Mine are kind of standard old dogs. In fact, Abby here was rescued on Punkintown Road. She's medium-sized, so she's not a killer, but she is a good alerter and barker, and she loves me, and she's a great walking partner. Now, as far as the citizens, the Humane Society has also participated to a degree of trying to give some input and information. I have several supportive county commissioners. We've kind of, obviously, if we started this last January, somebody's been dragging their feet, but we also lost a staff member on the county level in that area. There are 2 main changes that I'm looking for, and that's extreme weather conditions with temperatures, that sort of thing. And the other one is tethering. We are the only county in our area that I can find that still allows 24/7 tethering. Cobb doesn't, Paulding doesn't, Douglas County doesn't, Harrelson doesn't, Coweta don't. They don't either. We're the only ones I'm aware of in our area. I said, gosh, Harrelson's ahead of us too. Now that doesn't mean no tethering, but they have limits as far as not allowing 24/7, and those are not consistent. They vary. I looked up all their ordinances, printed them out. Howard remembers that. I was underlining copies, looking for ideas that we could learn from other ones, even if it related to dog fighting and that sort of thing. Some things are taken care of on a state level. I just brought one visual, and I'll wrap this up pretty quick, because I have a feeling some of y'all just may want to be somewhere around 8 o'clock tonight. My husband's a graduate of Alabama, so I can tell you exactly where he's going to be. Just to give you an example, I need to stand up to do this. Right now, the current ordinance allows a dog to be tethered 24/7. It has to be 4 times the length of the dog, okay, from snout to their tail or whatever. If, you know, some dogs only have a tail like this. So my dog would be on a tether like this, okay? So this is what she would live on 24/7 in that circular area or whatever. Now, the problem is the very ordinance that has this is also the ordinance that says that area has to be clean and sanitary. Well, I can tell you right now, with the dog we rescued in Fullerville that lived on that sort of tether, they're not clean and sanitary because they are covered in their excrement and everything else that's within that area. Kids aren't going to play with them. Nobody's going to bring them inside if there's 13 inches of snow, even in the mudroom, because they're covered in feces. That's just the fact of the matter if that's where they live 24/7. And so that's why that one's a big deal to me. I use my dog as an example because she's medium-sized. And I know for me, even when I listen to sermons, I remember things better if I have a visual. You know, that kind of makes it stick in my mind. And the Humane Society is proposing a few other things. There's some other little tweak things in there that the county staff is proposing. But that's kind of my big deal. And the reason we're coming to city councils, and my husband's actually in Carrollton right now, is because Marty Smith and the county commission has decided that they want input from the cities on what's done on a county level. Mainly so that mainly so that we will not be all over the place, because the county takes care of all of us, right? And so if y'all's is really different from ours, and Mount Zion's different from Mountain, it makes it that much harder to enforce it and for the officers themselves. So I'm just trying to pinpoint some of the biggest things and just ask for you to please consider it when it gets sent to you and you're asked for your input, to just consider some of the conditions that these animals are left in. And maybe we can move and be not progressive in the sense of politics, but progressive in the way we care for our animals and that sort of thing. And that's all I need for your time. I'm going to sit here and enjoy your meeting. It's got to be better than ours. Ours lasts for eons.
Hang on a second.
Oh, if you have a question, yeah.
I was just going to say, the article that was in the Times, Georgia, in mid-December, is that an appropriate one to give to council members concerning what you've talked about?
That would be wonderful. I have a copy of the second page of that here. In fact, I think I have the whole article in here, but it's just one.
Okay.
You know, it's the newspaper itself. I think that's helpful because it gives some quotes from some people that are more objective, like vets, and things like that related to the topic. The reporter was very kind to give me some time, but she really did her homework on interviewing a number of people. Good, I don't have to send that to y'all now. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
And thank you for your time, I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate your passion on the matter. Sir?
May I make a comment? May I make a comment? Is that protocol okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Who are you?
My name is Rob Sanders. I'm a Temple resident, and I'm a member of the Carroll County Humane Society. So I just want to let you know, have you seen what the changes were for the ordinance? One of the big things with, you know, as the councilwoman was saying about the tethering, is that one of the changes would be that it would be on a swivel or pulley system, give them more room, and, you know, so I was just wondering if you had seen some of the changes. And,
No, I have not.
Okay. I'm just wondering the way that the council and the mayor would be able to see.
It's supposed to get sent to them from the county.
Okay.
And I'm not sure exactly when that's happening, so I came kind of as a preemptive thing, knowing that it's gonna show up one of these days, and I'll probably give them a call and say, how soon is that, by the way? So,
Okay, well, I really appreciate your support.
Yes, sir. All right, thank you. All right, item number 3, adopt a resolution to set and publish the qualifying fee for the City of Temple general election to be held on November 5, 2019 for the office of City Council member and 3 City Council awards. Kristen Etheridge.
So there's a resolution in your book to adopt the fee. The Georgia Code requires us to adopt the fee, and it's supposed to be 3% of whatever this past year the pay was for that position. So in our case, that equals to be $72. We have to adopt this so it can be posted before February 1st.
Make the motion we adopt.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Any opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Resolution is approved. Thank you. All right, item number 4. Authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with River Bottom Farm for field and maintenance services in the city park in calendar year 2019 at a cost not to exceed $13,754, and in accordance with the scope of work set forth in the City of Temple's request for sealed bids for said services. All right, Mr. Osborne.
Mr. Wilson is involved in activities tonight. We presented this to you during the work session Thursday afternoon. We had one bid from River Bottom Farm, which is somewhat the same pattern of the last 2 or 3 years, and we would recommend that you approve this for Dale Reinhardt to do this work for us during the year.
I make that motion.
All right. Second. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. All right, item number 5. Authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with Acosta Fence Incorporated of Carrollton for the purchase and installation of fencing at various ball fields in the city park in accordance with the scope of work set forth in the City of Temple's recently issued request for sealed bids for said services and installation, or reject the bid from Acosta Fence Incorporated and direct the city administrator to reissue the request for sealed bids for said scope of work. Mr. Osborne.
If you'll go over to about your 6th tab, you will find a memo from me, updated information and fencing bid from Acosta Fence. I'll let you find that. I had it said I would be getting an updated report for you. Basically, as you remember, the fencing was bid just slightly under $40,000, but there was a question about the gates, which I projected to be about $12,600 based on the information we had. Turns out part of the confusion we created for ourselves because we were asking in the specs for them to give us information on materials and installation, which we really didn't need. But the bottom line is that on Friday, I think I mentioned to you when we met that we would be meeting with Mr. Acosta on Friday, which we did. He and Mr. Wilson and I met here, and then he and Mr. Wilson went out to the park. Among other things that felt like that there were some of the poles were in good shape and did not need to be replaced. What I've given you today new is a different kind of breakout. It's just per field, which was what we were asking for also. If you look at the total cost on that, it's $55,000, which includes new gates and the 3-inch pipe for the gates. Now, while that amount may be higher than you thought it would be, it's about $3,000 higher than what I had given you on Friday, but they did do some cutting on cost on the different fields when you take into account that the per field cost does now include the gates on those fields. What we have, 2 things that are added. The smaller part was field number 8, which we did not have a quote on in the bid that we showed to you Thursday. We now have a price on that, and that was $2,500. The other was that I had made a big mistake in the specs concerning field 7. Joe and I, neither one caught it when we proofed the specs. But basically, that did not include 625 linear feet of 6-foot-high outfield fencing, which if you look at the per unit cost, that's going to be close probably to $7,000 to $8,000. So what I've given you in the middle of page 2, you can see that from December 31 to January 7 for fields 1, 2, 3, and 4, the gates now included in that price, and the price changed only slightly. Field 7 price, of course, went up because it now has the 625 linear feet of the fencing in it, and field number 8. So that's what we've got. Now, your choices, you can make a decision tonight, or you can table it for your special meeting on Thursday, January 17th. We'll tell you that on Friday, which was past our deadline, we did receive a quote from another fencing company, which was past the deadline, and it was for $57,845, which was not that high above what we're talking about here, but what it does do is it gives you the two quotes that we received, one on time, one on length, were in the same building ballpark.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is something that we've been talking about needing to be done and taken care of there at that rec department. And we need to do it before the season starts.
Yes, ma'am.
But my concern is this was originally given to us at a $40,000 bid. You're $15,000 over what he thought he was gonna use, and you still don't have a fence around the pond that now has a new playground there.
Did we ask for a fence around the pond?
We should have,
But we did. I
Oh, I
don't
don't
think we
know.
did.
but it's still $15,000 higher than what he originally asked for he originally said it should be about $40,000 when he turned in his project. We're
Yeah.
now at 55.
Yeah, but that was the rec report, that was the rec director making this, just a guess. He had very little to base that on, he's not a fence person.
Agreed, but also I thought when we talked the other day, we were wondering if this was had all the stuff in it that we needed, the labor and all that, because I thought we were waiting on that
That's what
also.
you just confirmed that it
Well,
had.
that's what we went back to be sure, and this is a total price for the job, according to Mr. Costa.
Based on the second one.
Mr. Walter.
How much was in the budget for that particular project?
I don't remember, we'd have to go back. I know at one point, as Ms. Vivian said, I think Mr. Wilson had talked about a figure of around 40,000. Of course, we also talked at one point about replacing sections, more, we'll say, a piecemeal approach. So we're doing more replacement of fencing, but I think the estimates that quote came in is higher than we had projected originally. And so far as having the money for it, it may well be that a couple of the other projects with lesser priorities you may not be able to do. But you do have enough money to do this. In terms of the overall amount that you talked about for parks, I'm trying to remember, somewhere around 225,000.
And this was our number one priority because of the condition of those fences.
It's all squash money though, isn't it?
Yes, 2015 storms.
I tell you, the condition up there and the way that looks up there and all of that, I'm making a motion to go on ahead and accept this bid.
Okay, have a motion.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign.
I
All right. Motion carries 3-1. Item number 6. Announce that in accordance with the Temple City Ordinance adopted September 4, 2018, entitled "An Ordinance Revising Water and Sewer Service and for Other Purposes for the City of Temple, Georgia," a 1.5% volumetric rate increase in all scheduled water and sewer fees will be effective with the February 2019 billing cycle. Mr. Osborne.
We, of course, had a discussion during the work session, because the ordinance does require that the city start a 1.5% rate increase with the February billing cycle each year unless you take an affirmative action to have a higher rate or not to do that. Following your discussion, you felt like no action would be taken tonight, so I'm simply making that announcement, and we will, in accordance with the ordinance passed last September, be notifying our customers that with the February billing cycle, there will be the inflationary 1.5% rate increase, water and sewer, which is not a lot, but does provide some money to kind of hedge against inflation, which as it occurs. No action is needed by you tonight.
All right, any questions or discussion?
I will just have a comment on that. I did some figuring on that, and if it's a residential water and sewer on 5,000 gallons of usage, it would increase the bill by like 82 cents, less than $10 a month. Not that much.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Anything else? All right, moving to item number 7. Increase from $1,000 up to a new figure of $1,500 for the deposit fee charged by the City of Temple for the use of the fire hydrant meter by building construction companies or other parties, which is refundable upon the undamaged return of said meter to the City of Temple. Mr. Osborne.
If you remember, our now former Public Works Director last Thursday pointed out that the cost of a new fire hydrant meter was somewhere around $1,200 to $1,300. And so we certainly needed the deposit that was made by a company that would be using that to at least be the value of the meter itself in case they absconded with it. So we would like to change the deposit fee from $1,000 to $1,500. Also, if you don't have any action you need to take on this, we have a budgeted item that was one of the last things that Dwayne did on Friday was to order the new meter, which you had indicated in the so we'll have 2 of these in the future. Kind of a side note, I will be meeting in the morning with the owner of Faithful Guardian to talk about that situation, and I think we'll get worked out some different thing we can do with any usage of the house.
I make a motion to increase this deposit fee.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve this increase from $1,000 to $1,500. Any additional discussion? All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Item number 8, authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with Hughes Ray for the preparation of a new zoning map for the City of Temple, which incorporates all rezoning actions approved by the City Council in calendar year 2018.
We talked about this on Thursday, and Kristen and I met on this morning. It will come up with a list based on the review of your minutes from 2018. We don't have that many parcels. I have talked with Howard Ray, and he's ready to go forward with the project. Now, on the one hand, he said that it would not be more than $2,000. Well, that's far more than I think we're going to need to be paying him, because we're going to do all the work. We're just going to need his graphics people more than anything else. But at the moment, Kristen is going through the records. I'm guessing we had only about less than 10 actions that we took during the year, other than what we may have done at the first of the year when we were doing the update on the zoning map. So but we do need to be able to sign an agreement with him so we can go ahead and get this done.
Zoning actions are going to include all of the boundary line relocations too, right?
Variances.
So
Yes, sir.
you're going to have to get the final plat from those people that had changes in it.
Okay.
Myself, Mr. Stedham, maybe over here across the highway, so
Yeah.
we'll have to provide that to Hughes Rate, right?
Yes. Yes.
I make a motion, we proceed.
All right.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Number 9, authorize the expenditure of an additional $27,969.98 in 2015 special purpose local option sales tax revenues to complete the City of Temple's required local government fiscal contribution for the current cooperative local maintenance and improvement grant program, otherwise known as LMIG, with the Georgia Department of Transportation. Mr. Osborne.
We've talked about this before. Basically, the cost of the projects which we did back in the fall turned out to be more than we had budgeted from the 2015 splash. And so in order to complete the payment for those projects, we need to provide this amount of money, and the 2015 splash is a good source to do that.
Mr. Walker.
What happened when that, did the asphalt and fuel and everything go up that much? Because Dwayne had gotten a quote from like earlier in the year, March or April or so we just got just a few months there, and it went up almost $28,000.
It went up significantly, and I can get you the actual difference between what we had originally projected as the cost and what it ended up being. And it was basically about $30,000 more total. Now this, what we're talking about does not involve anything with Iverson Place. That was a different situation, but this is on the LMIG itself. But we really don't have much choice, because the work's been done, it's got to be built in the county. I guess the only good thing we can say is that Martin County does it for us, is Madison, who are out on the open market.
I just think that this year, maybe we should check it right before they do it and see how much the price is going. And if we have to eliminate a short street or something, we'll do it.
We can do that.
I make a motion that we pay this.
All right. Have a motion? Second. And a second. Any discussion? All in favor, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 10, award the contract for the purchase of 2 police department patrol vehicles based on the comparative quotes from automobile dealers as presented to the city council by the Temple Police Chief, with funding included in the city's 2019 capital fund budget. Now, I understand we're not prepared to act on this. We need additional information to be obtained. Is that correct?
We have 2 quotes, and the chief is getting the third. What we'd like to do is, when you have the special call meeting on the 17th, is that we would do a second special call to deal with this item.
Okay.
If that's okay with you.
All right. Yes, sir.
We're going to be able to get the quotes in our hands before that meeting date.
Yes, we have 2 of the quotes now,
Okay.
so we wanted the third quote. We don't have that. We should have the chief probably by the end of the week. Right?
No, maybe tomorrow. It just been dragging on.
Actually, I have 4 quotes, but I still got in mind who I'm going with, which is the same person, because everybody else is paid. So I just want to get them so y'all can view them anyway and see.
We will.
Okay.
Does this include all the equipment that you have to add on to the car?
No, sir, it's just the car itself, the money that we put in the budget is already for the equipment on, so this is just the car itself.
Thank you.
You did budget sufficient funds to purchase the cars and equipment.
All right, item 11, for calendar 2019, approve continuation of the grading scale established by the City Council in February of 2018 to determine the percent of the merit increase which a City of Temple employee could receive in his or her salary based on annual performance evaluation. Mr. Cobb.
We did a good bit of discussion about that, so I'll make a motion to go ahead and adopt.
I second.
We discussed that.
All right, motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? All right, item 12. Set the maximum percent increase which a City of Temple employee could receive in calendar 2019 in his or her annual salary based on that employee's merit evaluation at 3.00% of his or her current annual salary, and set the cost of living increase in said employee's annual salary at 1.50%, which would be effective on his or her anniversary date.
I'll make a motion, because that ties in with the other.
Okay?
Accept that?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. That completes our agenda. We get to executive session. I'm not aware of any need for executive session. That brings us to closing comments. Ms. Bivens.
None, thank you.
Mr. Walden.
Wish everybody a happy and prosperous New Year.
Mr. Wallace. Mr. Bratton. Mr. City Attorney.
I'm amazed.
We're getting it done.
That's a wonderful blessing.
It is.
You go, dog.
All right. Well, a year ago, we were finishing up our meeting to go home and hoping for a victory by our beloved Georgia Bulldogs. And tonight, as we conclude, we don't have that to look forward to as we get home. But I guess we have 2 neighbors that we can, or y'all, some of y'all may not watch football, but some of us do. And so we'll go home and see which neighbor wins. And I know some within this building that work here every day are, screaming roll, tide, roll, and others in the community. I don't know about Clemson. I don't know if there's any really passionate Clemson fans around, but let the best team win. We'll see how it goes. All right, anything else? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion, we adjourn.
A second.
All in favor, let it know.